Alright, hello boys and girls, moms and dads, welcome to Heroes Homeschool Academy. This is 5th grade science, week number 34, part of our curriculum. So today we're going to be talking about plants and how plants actually become more plants. So there are two ways that plants make younger plants. They make younger plants with or without seeds, and then sometimes with seeds. So let's talk about what happens when plants become other plants without seeds. Well, planting some parts of the plant without using the seeds, such as stem planting. So in other words, they are going to take a part of a plant, like a part of the stem of the plant. So for example, that's how sugar cane actually grows. That's how cassava grows. That's how potatoes grow. They're going to take a part of the plant and dig it in the soil, and then it produces another plant. They call that stem planting. Then another type of making plants is called leaf planting. So for example, the cactus may grow simply from a leaf. So if you take the leaf of a cactus and you dig it in the ground, it can become another set of cacti, a little bit later. Leaf planting is what they call that. And they do something called shoots. So pineapples and plantains may grow from shoots or from suckers. Well, that's another way that plants grow or become other plants. And another way they do planting without seeds is bulb. Onions may be grown from whole plants. So you just dig a whole onion and dig it into the ground. It can become multiple onions for you. And then they can grow through something called rhizomes, which a great example of that is going to be ginger, which may be grown from a root-like stem. Ginger may be grown a root-like stem which grows horizontally and then vertically. Okay. Using a root-like stem which grows horizontally and then vertically. And then stem tubers, which are going to be things like yam, which may be grown from whole tubers, pretty much similar to bulbs, but these are actually tubers right now. So these are the different ways that plants produce younger plants without necessarily seeds. Now let's talk about the second part of it. Now the second part of it is going to be with seeds. Now, planting the seeds of a plant to make a new plant, such as in oranges and tomatoes and other kinds of plants. So these are literally, you're going to take the seed of an orange, you're going to dig it in the ground, and given a couple of weeks, a couple of months, you are going to have new plants from there. So two ways in which plants make younger plants: without seeds and with seeds. Okay, are you going to try to remember that for me? Without seeds and with seeds. Okay. Now, what about the concept of flowers? Now, this is the part of a plant that receives the seeds and helps them grow. So look at this picture over here. You can see this beautiful flower, and this beautiful flower has certain parts to it. There is some part of it that we call the stigma, another part of it that is called the anther, and then the petals. So the petals are going to be these beautiful branches that come in different kinds of colors. That's called the petals. Then below the petals is called the calyx, and then below the calyx is called the epicalyx, and then under here is going to be called the pedicel. The calyx, that's the small green leaf below the brightly colored flower, and each calyx is also known as sepal, and this protects the flower when it is still young. What about the corolla? The brightly colored part of the plant, each leaf is called the petal. Okay, so altogether they call this the corolla, but each leaf is called the petal. It attracts insects, which carries the seeds to other locations, and this process is known as pollination. So you may be wondering, how does the seed of a plant get over to another plant? Well, birds do that. So when they pick up seeds, they drive over there to different parts of the flowers, and then they drop the seeds inside the flower. All right, the androsium, or the stamen. This is the combination of the anther and the filament, which is the style Alright, the gynosium, which is the pistil of the flower, it contains the ovary and the ovules, and is below the stigma over there. Alright, so what about this concept of pollination? This is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of the flower to the stigma of the same or another flower. This transfer can occur in two ways: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination occurs within the same flower, and cross-pollination is going to occur with another flower. Alright, what are the agents of pollination? Insects. Alright, insects in the process of feeding on the fluid of the flower, which is called the nectar. Don't forget that the nectar is the fluid of the flower. Insects can take seeds from one flower to another flower, or sometimes through wind pollination. Alright, these are flowers produced in bunches along the axis of a stalk. And these flowers are also called inflorescent flowers, and pollen grains are carried from one flower to another flower through wind. An example of that is going to be grass or maize or rice through wind pollination. Alright, so please go ahead and complete these exercises over there so you can retain some of the things that we talked about today in week number 34. Alright, so boys and girls, that's what I've got for you today. Remember, God cares about you, and so do we. Bye-bye.
I'll be your hero's buddy, and as you study with Heroes Boy.